All right. It is a great day in South Florida. My name is Chris Igoe. Welcome to Living in South Florida. And today I'm going to address the topic head on that everyone who owns a home is thinking about right now. The two factors that they are thinking about or they are being consumed by right now, whether they know it or not. And I will talk specifically about three experiences that I've had, real-time, real-world, hyper-local experiences, so that you can benefit from the experience and what's going on right now. And of course, we're talking about the fear and the uncertainty that exists right now, really for everyone, about everything. Now, I unfortunately am not able to solve everyone's problems that relate to everything out there in the world, but I can control the controllables. And by controlling the controllables of course, I also should be able to control my camera rig, which is completely out of control. So, well, therefore, I revert back to what my mom said a long time ago, which is that my videos suck. But nonetheless, hopefully this is recording the right way, and we can get to the point here. So today I will address what I see in real time as it relates to Florida home sellers' fear and uncertainty in the market today. Now, let's just talk about some of the bigger numbers that are headline news that are absolutely true statements, and you can expect that the media is going to take these facts and then also more of the same and run with the ball with that, because negative news sells. And the truth is, in a lot of different scenarios, it is a bear market in some markets. It is a recession on the horizon, although that hasn't been confirmed yet. It would be irresponsible not to recognize what's going on in the market and markets elsewhere and not recognize that there's a lot of things that have changed in the market, that have changed in the economy, that are going to have a negative impact on lots of folks throughout the United States. And so I don't want to sound like I'm tone deaf or act as if I'm tone deaf in spite or in the face of all of those true statements. But what's the difference between the perception and the reality, right? So let's try to drill down into that right now. And I'm going to park the car, and so therefore I can not worry about causing an accident and actually talk. Okay, so fear and uncertainty that exists in the market today for Florida home sellers. There's a lot of fear and uncertainty, right? And here's what we know as of recent news, right? So is this yesterday's news? Yes, but it's still relevant and it still should be applied to our analysis when considering making a decision. Well, right now we know that interest rates are going higher, period, right? We know the Fed policy is tightening and changing and going to be tighter and more restrictive as we move forward, which is a complete role reversal of what's happened since the pandemic and the money printing and the stimulus and QE and all the things that happened in 2007 and 2008. The bailouts, the this, the that, all of those things have happened, and not pointing blame at anyone for why those things happened or how those things happened. The truth is they happened, and it is what it is, and we are where we are, right? So govern yourself accordingly and make the best decisions for yourself, your family, and your financial bottom line. And analyze why you're doing what you're doing, and if it lines up with your big why. Does it make sense? I don't know. But what I do know is we're starting to get negative data that is going to change the public perception of a lot of things really quickly. And I think the major impact of that has yet to be felt. I think we're just starting to get into the beginning of that really bad news cycle, and yet to be determined, right? I could be wrong. I don't know. A lot of variables out there, but here's where we're at. We know for certain that interest rates are going higher. We know for certain that interest rates have gone from a historic low of 2% to now north of 5%. And it appears that they're trending higher quickly. What I also know is that for every, and if I'm off by a little bit in my math, then just understand the concept is close enough. For every half basis point an interest rate moves, or every half point your interest rate on a mortgage moves up, you lose 20% purchasing power, period. And that's what it is. So if you have interest rate sensitivity, you're going to be negatively impacted and be able to buy far less home in the future when interest rates are 7%, 8%, 10%, or 35%. The more expensive it is the cost of money and financing, the more expensive that is, the less home you can buy. Okay, fine, we understand that. Well, what are we seeing now? Well, we're seeing national existing home sales. They're down 2.7% for April. And pending sales dropped 1.2% for full stop. Pending sales nationally dropped 1.2% in April, but it's the 5th straight months that they've dropped consecutively in a row. So, although none of that is true right here in my market, it is also irrelevant, because the more people that, the more the public perception changes, and the more that interest rates go higher, and the more that inflation, the more there's uncertainty around financial situations and economic stability and geopolitical environment. Like, for example, if China decides that they're going to take over Taiwan and we've got some sort of World War III scenario taking place, what impact does that have on the state of the market? Probably not a good one. So there's lots of uncertainty that's out there. And I don't say all those things to scare you. I say them because these are things that are out there that people are thinking about, and it governs their decision-making process, period. Well, let's also look at some of these things that have happened in terms of supply chain and the pandemic, and now oversupply. We've got Amazon, we've got Walmart, we've got all of these big companies out there with an oversupply of inventory, and they're not selling it, which means they're going to have to slash prices, which means they're going to get rid of that inventory, and eventually they're going to end up firing people because they need to keep their company and their balance sheet and their investors happy. So is it likely there's going to be a big round of layoffs that happen here sometime in the near future? Probably. What impact does that have on the rest of the markets and the rest of the world? Yet to be determined. I don't know. So again, that's the big macro picture, and there's a lot more to it and lots more moving parts that exist. What I can talk about is what I see in real time right now, and give you some examples of what's happened in real time right now, representing sellers in today's market. So some of the people are out there saying, oh, well, the market's weak, and we're going to wait, and we're going to get a better deal, and the market's going to crash, and it's going to be this, that. We're going to be able to there's going to be a fire sale on home values, and so the $500,000 home, we're going to get that at $200,000, or the $1 million home, we're going to get that at $700,000, or the $5 million home, we're going to get it at $2 million. That's possible, but it's highly unlikely given what I see in the market today. Now, again, I'm not Nostradamus. I'm not a crystal ball. I'm not a analyst. And by the way, if you go out there and look up different analysts, you'll find that they're mostly wrong most of the time. So, you can get confirmation bias, pro and con on anything that you want to. But at the end of the day, what I always ask people is to get granular as to why they're doing what they're doing, and if it lines up with their big why. Does buying or selling line up with making their life better? Does it give them more financial freedom, flexibility, lifestyle, whatever it is. Does it check those boxes? And if it does, then great, you made a great decision. And if it doesn't, well, then don't do it. And so I will never lean into anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. In fact, I actually talk more people out of doing things that they say they want to do, which doesn't align with what they originally told me. And I talk them out of doing things because they get caught up in the fear of missing out. And I end up getting them better solutions that line up with what their original thought was. And so getting to know your customer is critical in, well, really in any market, period. But it's something that we take very seriously, and we do it at a very high level. I consider myself a fiduciary, and I take my fiduciary responsibility very seriously, even though I am not actually a fiduciary. So I do not have that legal requirement, but it is something that I do because it's the right thing to do. Okay, with all that being said, where are we at right now? Well, I talked about the national averages, right? Now let's talk a little bit about Boynton Beach, right? In April, it took 11 days to now I'm talking about overall market dynamics for Boynton Beach. This can get drilled down hyper granularly into subdivisions and things like that. But overall, for the city of Boynton Beach, it took 11 days to contract from listing. There were 167 homes that were for sale, which is 0.9 months of supply. Meaning, if nothing else comes on the market, it's going to take less than a month for all of that supply to be purchased and evaporate. In Wellington, it's 42 days. There's 129 homes for sale, and there's 1.5 months of supply. So, and I'll pop those graphics in or share that with you. But why am I sharing that information? Because I am starting to see, when we represent sellers, the fear and uncertainty that exists in other places have them, freeze them, and disable them from making the best decisions for themselves and for their families. So recently I had someone reach out from YouTube, which is great. I love that. But they reached out, we did a consultation, we learned exactly what they needed to get for the sale of their home. And the reason for that was they'd outgrown the home. Their family is growing. They need a bigger home. They want a bigger home. Of course, that's going to be a more expensive price. But at the end of the day, being an expert and in finding the one buyer on planet Earth willing to pay more than anybody else, I did all the things that I do. So we did a full consultation. I got to understand exactly what they want, exactly what they need, and exactly what the solutions are to provide them the opportunity to get what they want. And full disclosure, I will never force someone to do something they don't want to. I will never lean into anyone to do something that they don't want to. But I do a thorough analysis up front to determine whether they're motivated or not, or I'm not going to waste my time. Nonetheless, we take this listing, and it's a single family home. It is very nice, and we do all the things. We create a market within the market. So anyone out there who says that the market is not strong right now is completely out of their mind, as evidenced by the fact we had, within 7 days, over 400 showings on this property. We had over 100 contracts on this property. We set a record sales price for this property, not just relative to the comps, but relative to bigger homes within the same subdivision. We ended up getting them the highest number conceivable, which was significantly higher than anything I showed them on a net sheet when I originally set their expectations. I mean, we smashed it by like 165,000 relative to the comps, and then 45 or 50,000 to the highest sale for a bigger home. So we smashed the record on the sale. But through the process, there was also tremendous fear and uncertainty about the next home. Now, that's not uncommon. A lot of sellers don't know where their next home is, or they're not that far ahead of the game. They haven't done that homework or research or whatever it might be. And there's always a solution, at least right now with the way the market dynamics are. There are solutions to that. We could do a lease back for free. We could solve their need for more time many different ways. But at the end of the day, what we ended up doing was finding their dream home under budget, and in spite of the fact that the new home that they were looking to purchase, which is perfect and checks all the boxes and all of those things, there were multiple contracts on that one too. And we were able to get in front of them due to lots of different things. One of them being my relationship with the other realtor. But nonetheless, we solved all the problems. Got them under budget on their new home, got them more money than any other method of selling possible. I mean, completely blown away by the number. And we got to win, we got to win, we got to win. And yet, at the end of all of that work and all of that good news and all of the boxes being checked the right way, they made a decision not to move forward on either. So we canceled the purchase contract, we canceled the listing, and we part as friends. Now, don't break out the violins or break out the Kleenex. It's okay. And I've said that to him. Look, if this is not right for you, then it's not right for you. And whether you do it today or tomorrow and a year from now, it's all good. I'm your realtor for life and we're friends. What terrifies me is the reality that in the future, if we go back to a market that is a normal balanced market, which is what I think we will see when all of those headlines that I talked about in the beginning of the video and all of the negative, when Boise, Idaho, or whatever, or Austin, Texas, and I'm just making up cities, I don't know that those are going to be the cities that are most negatively impacted. But I do know that when certain markets slow down and certain markets go backwards, and a bear market, a bull market are defined certain ways, a recession is defined a certain way, a correction is defined a certain way, I'm going to go ahead and use a crash as being defined as 20% or more. No, that's not a crash. That would be 50%, in my opinion. A correction would be north of 20% of a haircut on values. Let's say there's a correction in Boise of 20% that happens. Well, that news is going to be broadcast everywhere, and that's going to become the perception becoming the reality. And what we're going to see is a lot of people who are on the fence thinking about selling locally here in South Florida. And I can tell you, there's lots of people. Everybody who owns a home is thinking about selling, but they're on the fence. Well, they go from on the fence to on the market. And when that happens, well, now the dynamics change. Now, instead of the listing, which I just did all of that incredible work for, they were the only home that was for sale on the market, and that's what enabled me to be able to drive the price so much higher. Well, if there's 30 homes for sale in that same subdivision at the same time, chances are that my strategy is not going to be as effective. There's a lot more competition. Well, that sucks for somebody selling their home, but it's great for the buyer because now it's not a seller's market, which is insane and unhealthy, and that's what we've experienced for the last 2 years. It's now a either normal market or it's a buyer's market, and that is great for buyers. However, is it? Well, it's great if they're cash buyers. It's great if the interest rates haven't gone parabolic at that point. It's great if it still makes sense financially, but I don't know what that looks like. Here's what I think it looks like. I think it looks like interest rates are going to be significantly higher, which I would still argue that Southeast or South Palm Beach County is a little bit more insulated than other places due to the lack of land, due to the scarcity of, there is simply no more land to build on. So I think the scarcity of land and the imbalance of supply and demand still works in our favor to insulate us. However, and I also think that the affluent from around the country and around the world that want to be in Florida will still want to be in Florida because it's Florida. But nonetheless, What that means for home sellers is that now, instead of you being the only property out there and me having the ability to create a market within a market when it's most optimal for buyers, which is right now, we're doing it at a time where there's massive competition, there's lots of other homes, and it's not as favorably for a buyer to buy a home. So what does that mean? It means more homes, less buyers, and a more challenging market for you to sell your home, which again is great for the balance and health of the overall market. But we shall see. Moral of the story here is they didn't sell because of fear and uncertainty. And I don't even know what the fear and the uncertainty is that's holding them back from what they said they wanted. I just know that it paralyzed them, and my real concern for them and for anybody else out there who's thinking about this is that you missed the opportunity, which is best right now. So we shall see. And also, it's not just this particular seller. I do see, so that was one case study, right? Over the course of the week, 300 plus showings, 100 plus contracts, set a record value, and got them their dream home under contract at a better deal compared to the budget they thought they were going to have to spend. I got everything done. Well, good. Congratulations. Woohoo, Chris, you're so good. Nobody cares. My point here is what I'm also seeing is on other listings that I have, which are in different areas, which a few months ago were far more competitive and more aggressive. They're still, and I'll give an example. We've got a listing in Boca Point. We had 30 showings, which is a lot of showings, but only one contract. Well, 6 months ago, that same listing would have had, I don't know, way more than 30 showings and certainly way more than one contract. Now, don't get me wrong, the house is going to sell. It's going to be a tremendous win for the sellers, and their next home is going to be great too. So all the things are going to line up, but the intensity of the market relative to what it was 6 months ago in that specific hyper-local area has changed, period. So what does that mean? It means longer wait times for them to get what they want. But that creates tremendous fear and uncertainty within them because they're also looking at all the other things too. The stock market's crashing, the economy, the war, the that. It's the fear, it's the uncertainty. And that's the thing that I never want anyone to be paralyzed by, because the truth is there always is a solution for any situation, period. And if you're working with the right people and the right professionals, they'll be able to help lean in to solve whatever the issues might be. But please know, no matter what happens in any market, it's always a good market for someone. There's no such thing as a bad real estate market. It's just, whom is it good for? So from my perspective, I have to be able to adapt, shift, and change and be able to service whom it's good for. But right now, if you are a home seller in Florida, it's good for you. So make hay while the sun's shining. And I think that's it for now. So rant is over. I hope you found this content valuable. If you did, then please like it, subscribe to the channel. If you've got any questions, if there's ever anything we can do to help serve, support you, your family, your business in any way, then you've got to give me a call, text, DM, send a carrier pigeon, a smoke signal, by any means necessary, because we've got your back when it comes to moving to or living in South Florida. And until next time, peace.